Welcome. We are drawn irresistibly to the abyss. What is it about the monstrous, the transgressive, that holds us captive? These stories ripped from the headlines are more than entertainment. Today we delve into that abyss, exploring 10 gripping crime thrillers where reality and art blur. Prepare yourselves. The truth is often far more terrifying than fiction. Now let us begin. It begins with a whisper, a coded message sent to the press. San Francisco, late 1960s, a city of revolution, suddenly haunted by a phantom. The Zodiac killer craved the spotlight, turning murder into public spectacle. David Fincher's Zodiac captures the suffocating paranoia, the endless investigation, and the chilling fear of the unknown. The killer was never caught, he simply faded away, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a riddle that remains unsolved to this day. At the heart of Fincher's Zodiac are three men, each consumed by obsession. Detective Toski's confidence fades as the case drags on. Reporter Paul Avery is poisoned by fear and paranoia, and Robert Graysmith, the amateur, cannot let go, his life swallowed by the mystery. The film's world grows grayer, hope decays, and answers remain elusive. The case stays open, the ghost at large. For those who lived it, and for us, the obsession never truly ends. From the rain-slicked streets of San Francisco, we pivot to the sun-drenched world of the 1960s jet set. This is the story of Frank Abagnale Jr., a boy who ran from himself, adopting new lives with dazzling charm. Spielberg's film captures a teenager who impersonated a pilot, doctor, and lawyer, cashing millions in fraudulent checks. But beneath the glamour, Frank is profoundly alone, a lost boy, chasing connection in a world of shadows and bright lights. Frank Abagnale Jr.'s greatest critic was Carl Hanratty, the relentless FBI agent who chased him across continents. Their cat-and-mouse game became a bond, Hanratty the system's embodiment, and Frank, the master of deception. In the end, Hanratty saw Frank's genius, turning his greatest adversary into the FBI's top fraud expert. Sometimes the only way to catch a thief is to offer him a job. Boston in the early 1960s was a city of old money and new anxieties, where Kennedy-era optimism clashed with a growing darkness. A terror crept through the city, preying on women living alone. Young and old, no one was safe. The killer left a chilling signature, silk stockings, a grotesque calling card. Fear gripped Boston, locks sold out, women barricaded doors, and the city held its breath. The Boston Strangler's legacy, a city forever changed, haunted by the anatomy of fear. The film's masterstroke is its split-screen narrative, a visual echo of a city and mind fractured by chaos. We see the frantic police hunt on one side and the quiet, unsuspecting lives of the victims on the other. This technique creates unbearable tension, making us complicit in the unfolding horror. The focus shifts to Albert DeSalvo, a man with a fractured soul, whose duality haunts the film. The Boston Strangler isn't just a crime story, it's a chilling look at the darkness that can hide in plain sight. In the gritty world of the New York City mob, trust is everything. To be a friend of ours is to be family, until that trust is betrayed. This is the true story of Donnie Brasco, FBI agent Joseph D. Pistone, who infiltrated the mob for 6 years. His bond with mobster Lefty Ruggiero was real, making the betrayal all the more devastating. At its heart, Donnie Brasco is a story of friendship, loyalty, and inevitable tragedy. Al Pacino's Lefty Ruggiero is a man quietly desperate, not a kingpin but a working man in crime. His trust in Donnie is total, seeing him as his last chance at legacy. Johnny Depp's Pistone is torn, an undercover agent living a lie, forming real bonds he must betray. When the operation ends, there's no victory, just loss, devastation, and a life forever changed by the roles they played. Florida, the Sunshine State, a place of retirement communities, theme parks, and sun-bleached beaches. But in 1989, a different, much darker story began to unfold along its highways. A story that would challenge every preconceived notion of what a serial killer was supposed to be. For decades, the profile was always the same: a man. A monster who lurked in the shadows, an aberrant male figure like Bundy or Gacy. But this killer was different. This killer was a woman. Her name was Aileen Wuornos, and her case would force America to look into a face of evil it never expected to see. Wuornos was a highway prostitute, a woman whose life had been a relentless cascade of trauma and abuse from the moment she was born. Abandoned, exploited, and cast out, she lived a transient, desperate existence on the fringes of society. She was a ghost long before she ever started killing, invisible to the world until she made them see her through acts of shocking violence. Between 1989 and 1990, she shot and killed 7 men along the highways of Central Florida. Men who had picked her up, men she claimed had either assaulted her or were about to. The media frenzy that erupted was unprecedented. They didn't know how to frame the story. Was she a cold, calculating predator, a man-hating monster? Or was she a victim herself, a damaged soul pushed to the breaking point, fighting back against a lifetime of male violence in the only way she knew how? They called her the Damsel of Death, a sensationalist moniker that tried to reconcile her gender with the brutality of her crimes. The narrative was a battleground, torn between seeing her as a ruthless killer or a tragic anti-hero, a symbol of righteous female rage. It is this complex, troubling, and deeply uncomfortable territory that director Patty Jenkins explores in the 2003 film. The film refuses to take the easy path. It doesn't glamorize Wuornos, nor does it purely condemn her. Instead, it attempts something far more difficult and daring. It attempts to understand her. It seeks to inhabit her skin, to see the world through her eyes, and to present a portrait of a human being, however broken and monstrous her actions were. It's a film that asks the audience not to forgive, but to witness the making of a monster step by painful step. At the core of is one of the most transformative performances in cinema history. Charlize Theron's portrayal of Aileen Wuornos goes far beyond makeup and prosthetics. It is a complete physical and psychological inhabitation of a character. Theron disappears and interplaces Aileen with her lumbering gait, her defensive, aggressive posture, and her eyes that flicker between raw vulnerability and terrifying rage. She captures the desperation, the childlike naivety, and the deep, profound damage that defined Wuornos' personality. It's a performance devoid of vanity, a raw, fearless dive into the abyss of a shattered human spirit. The film hinges on Aileen's relationship with a young, naive woman named Selby Wall, a fictionalized version of Wuornos' real-life girlfriend, Tyria Moore. Played with heartbreaking fragility by Christina Ricci, Selby represents for Aileen a last, desperate chance at love, normalcy, and escape. Their love story is the film's tragic anchor. Aileen wants nothing more than to provide for Selby, to give her a life away from the highways and the violence. It is this desperate desire to be a protector, to finally have something good in her life, that ironically fuels her murderous spiral. Each killing is framed as a misguided, horrific attempt to keep their dream alive. Jenkins's direction is unflinching. She forces us to confront the brutal reality of Aileen's life and crimes. The murders are not stylized or thrilling. They are clumsy, ugly, and terrifyingly real. We see Aileen's panic, her rage, and the grim aftermath. The film makes it clear that these are not the actions of a cold, calculating mastermind, but of a cornered animal lashing out. It never excuses her actions, but it provides a context so bleak, so filled with relentless abuse, that it makes the violence feel, in some terrible way, inevitable. It shows us a woman who was never taught the value of human life because her own was never valued. In the end, is a profound and disturbing tragedy. It's a character study about the cyclical nature of violence and the societal failures that create a person like Aileen Wuornos. While she was convicted and ultimately executed for her crimes, the film leaves us with haunting questions about culpability. It challenges us to look past the sensational headlines and see the broken person behind them. It's a film that argues that monsters aren't born, they are made, forged in the fires of neglect, abuse, and a world that chose to look away. It begins, as these stories often do, not with a bang, but with a whisper, a rumor, a feeling in the gut of a detective that something is profoundly wrong. In the late 50s and early 60s, New York was flooded by a new poison, heroin, pure and uncut, flowing from Turkey through Marseille. The Corsican mob, the Unione Corse, ran this shadowy pipeline. Detectives Eddie Egan and Sonny Grosso, gritty and relentless, followed the whispers, the money, and the bodies. They knew a major shipment was coming, a score that could change everything. Friedkin's film mainlines the grit and paranoia of the era, channeling the real obsession of Egan and Grosso into the relentless fury of Popeye Doyle and Cloudy Russo. Hackman's Popeye is no hero, he's a raw nerve, locked in a personal war against the French Connection's elegant mastermind, Alain Charnier. The linchpin, a Buick Invicta packed with 60 kilos of heroin, a Trojan horse of devastation. Their relentless pursuit led to a historic bust, yet in the end, justice slipped away and the war raged on. In East New York, Brooklyn, a boy like Henry Hill saw two paths, the working man's grind or the wise guy's world of power and respect. For Henry, the life wasn't a choice, it was a calling. As far back as he could remember, he always wanted to be a gangster. Under the watch of men like Paul Vario, he learned loyalty, power, and danger. This was the world Henry entered: camaraderie, wealth, and sudden violence. In the mob, good times never last. The Lufthansa heist was the score of a lifetime, but it brought paranoia, betrayal, and bloodshed. Jimmy turned on his own crew, and Henry spiraled into drugs and fear. The glamour vanished, replaced by panic and desperation. Facing prison or death, Henry broke omerta, becoming an informant. Once a gangster, now a haunted nobody, always looking over his shoulder, forever running from his past. In the world of American crime, Frank Lucas moved in the shadows, building an empire with quiet, ruthless efficiency. Not a product of the Italian mafias, Lucas learned from Harlem legend Bumpy Johnson and seized power after his death. His product was heroin, his market the streets of New York. He cut out the middlemen, forging a direct pipeline from Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. The legend, heroin smuggled in military coffins, flooding the streets with blue magic. Lucas was a family man and community figure, but beneath the surface, a ruthless kingpin. In the corrupt world of New Jersey law enforcement, Richie Roberts stood alone, an honest cop in a sea of corruption. When Roberts turned in nearly $1 million in untraceable cash, he became a pariah. He saw the devastation of blue magic on the streets and began to hunt its source. A flashy fur coat at a boxing match led Roberts to Frank Lucas, the kingpin behind it all. In a twist, Lucas later became an informant, forging an unlikely partnership with Roberts. August 22, 1972. Brooklyn. The city swelters in summer heat. John Wojtowicz, desperate for love and money, storms a bank with a rifle and a dream. But the plan unravels, no cash, only hostages. Outside, crowds and police gather. Inside, fear and chaos reign. What began as a misguided act of love becomes a 14-hour standoff, broadcast to the world. On a Brooklyn street, a bank robbery became a spectacle. Sonny, once a villain, turned anti-hero as crowds and cameras swarmed. The line between news and performance blurred, the city's frustrations finding a lightning rod. Inside, hostages and captors formed strange bonds. Pacino's Sonny was chaos and heartbreak. In the end, tragedy, no easy answers, just a man lost in the circus of his own making. In the late 2000s, a new kind of crime swept the Hollywood hills. Teenagers obsessed with celebrity culture broke into the homes of the rich and famous. They weren't just stealing, they were curating a fantasy, living out the lives they saw on their screens. Sofia Coppola's film captures this seductive, dreamlike world, where the line between fan and felon blurs in the glow of a stolen chandelier. Rachel Lee, the ringleader, saw the potential in digital stalking. Nick Prugo, eager to belong, was drawn in by the allure of fame and fashion. For nearly a year they targeted celebrity homes, growing bolder with each heist. They bragged online, craving notoriety as much as luxury. But fame came at a price: orange jumpsuits, mugshots, and headlines. The bling ring became a cautionary tale for a culture obsessed with celebrity and image. And there you have it. 10 chilling, thrilling, and unforgettable stories ripped from the headlines and immortalized on film. From the fog-shrouded streets of San Francisco to the sun-bleached desperation of a Brooklyn sidewalk, these films do more than just recount the facts of a case. They plunge us into the psychology of the crime, into the minds of the people who lived it, the hunters and the hunted, the heroes and the monsters, and the many who were somewhere tragically in between. They remind us that behind every shocking headline there is a human story, often more complex and disturbing than we can imagine. These movies are a testament to the dark allure of true crime, our endless fascination with the transgression of social norms and the people who dare to cross that line. They hold a mirror up to the society that created them, reflecting the anxieties, the obsessions, and the moral ambiguities of their time. Whether it's the systemic corruption of the 70s or the vapid celebrity worship of the new millennium, these stories are more than just entertainment. They are cultural artifacts, celluloid capsules of a specific moment in our collective history, a history written in police reports and courtroom transcripts. But the archive of true crime is vast and deep, and these 10 films are just the beginning of the conversation. The truth is often stranger, darker, and more compelling than any fiction a writer could dream up. The stories we've explored today are proof of that, a gallery of real-life events that captivated and terrified the world long before they were ever committed to film. They are a powerful reminder that the most compelling dramas are the ones that actually happen, playing out not on a soundstage, but in our own backyards. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of darkness, where real life and cinema collide. Now we want to hear from you. What are your favorite crime thrillers based on true stories? Which cases continue to haunt you? Share your thoughts and your own top picks in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into cinematic crime, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more recommendations and analysis. Until next time, stay safe and check your locks.